Tournament preview. It's upon us. We are here. Who do you think wins?
Yeah. I think Ireland are going to win.
Of course he does. Done.
Yeah. No, okay, go back. I think Ireland or France. I think, the form of some of the French teams, you look at Bordeaux and you look at Toulouse and the impact Dupont will have, the form of Damien Penaud and Bielbarré, they're going to pose a huge threat to Ireland and Dublin, and that could be the decider.
More importantly, right, so you think Ireland are going to win. What do you think of that? According to Opta.
Scotland doing well, just above them.
Yeah,
That's
that's absolutely ridiculous. Look, listen, Ireland are, in my opinion, favourites. They play England at home, they play France at home, which are probably perceived as their two biggest fixtures historically. Scotland away is a bit of a banana skin for them, but England, we're dark horses. Like, who knows what England team's coming out? We've got 3 games at home, and the tournament, as we all know, is about momentum. Momentum to win a wooden spoon if you were Jim Hamilton at Scotland.
It's true.
But we start with a horrifically hard game away at Ireland, where Ireland have only lost 2 out of 29 games at the Aviva Stadium in the Six Nations. So England are dark horses, but for me, favourites, it's all between Ireland and France. And that game that Zeeb's mentioned at the Aviva later in the tournament, it will probably decide it.
I'm not having Scotland 5%.
No, it's about
chances.
1%, mate. You go away to France, away to England.
England's a place we're very comfortable. France, we've won there in recent years as well.
True.
Of course.
But you lost to Italy last year.
Very true as well. Yeah, inconsistent. That's what very inconsistent. Missing our best player as well, or second best player.
Yeah.
But that's massive, isn't it?
Correct.
63% chances probability of Ireland winning it. It just shows how much they are favourites. No Andy Farrell was a big talking point, but is that going to affect them? I think he'll still have his handprints all over it. And maybe the hangover of the World Cup finally for Ireland is out of their system. They had a bit of a stodgy November, but they revel in Six Nations and they're going for a three-peat as well. So
Huge motivation. Yeah. They'll be hard to stop.
Yeah, France, 29%. I know we're referencing the stats. We don't need to reference them as much as we are, apart from that one. But France, quality. Like, we talk about it all the time. We commentate on a lot of it every week when we're talking, and
Club
it's all
game.
about France.
club game, I think they're great. I looked at their squad. They're short in the centres. I know they got Moefana from Bordeaux, but they have got quality. When you talk about Dupont and Untamak and Penaud, Bielbarré, I know Penaud's injured for the first round, but they're like the star quality. I look at the forward pack. Malvaka at hooker is class. Miafu in the second row, big unit. But actually, their back row isn't, I think, as strong as it has been previously.
Talk about France and Ireland, the rivalry and stuff, and you look at the Champions Cup final when you've got Toulouse and Leinster, how close they are as well. Like, there's nothing in it at all.
No. That's the fine margins. One of the 2 games that Ireland have lost at the Aviva in the last 29 was France in 2021, I think it was. So that's going to be a massive war. I'm just looking at it on paper, and I just fancy Ireland. It's their year again.
What a shift, eh? What a shift. The dark horses that you mentioned there, the 2% chance of winning, England. It's crazy, isn't it? You actually think, Zeebs, and your experiences playing against England, mine as well, but our experiences playing against England, they'd go into most tournaments favourites, wouldn't they? Or there or thereabouts.
Very excited for that first game in particular.
I can't quite remember how England got on against Ireland last year.
And that's why they're the dark horse.
That's why.
Exactly.
Dark horse for a reason.
But that's the thing with England, right? So they can go these first 2 games, Ireland away, France at home, potentially lose both, might win both, potentially lose both. They go into that 3rd game against Scotland, on for the wooden spoon. It is crazy. Like, we're very close to the game, we're very close to the players, none more so than you.
Finest of margins, isn't it? Like, you look at the difference between win and lose. A Marcus Smith drop goal last year with the last play of the game to beat Ireland. England have been favourites in a lot of tournaments over the years because we've had the biggest pool of players and all that stuff. Now, it's great to see Ireland, being that dominant team, but England have now got to try and catch them up. And France are a powerhouse. Scotland they're probably in their best ever moment. Obviously, losing to Pelotu is huge, but people can say that they could win the title. So there's 4 teams.
Why laughing? Don't you dare.
Continue.
You're going to eat your smile and tell you it's coming.
I said people.
People, yeah, not us.
I didn't. Yeah, not me and
Not
you.
me and
There's a legacy issue here.
Yeah.
This is why he's laughing. For the people who don't know, it's a legacy.
Yeah.
Finishing above third would be great this year now.
Well, I heard someone at the weekend. They were talking about it, and they said, "What would be a good Six Nations for Scotland?" And they said top 3. I'm like, that's what you're aiming for. That's like top 3's winning it for you guys.
Yeah.
Whereas-
That's just a lap of honour in Murrayfield.
I'll be there with them, I'll be honest. I finished third once, actually.
Calcutta Cup and finish in the second.
But that's the thing, is so talking about dark horses England, no one's talking about Italy. Is there any point even talking about them? And just some reference points for you. Drew with France last year, if everyone forgot. So drew with France and beat Scotland as well. And they put in some big performances. Again, a team that we talk about all the time, who actually have embarrassed themselves in the tournament in years gone by. Whereas now, they're actually going to worry some teams.
Yeah, I think they're finding their identity. They're playing a nice brand of rugby. You know, they've got the players, I suppose, to compete. It's just how consistently can they do it throughout the tournament? Are they going to have the legs to go the full tournament playing their best rugby? We saw the Zebra beat Ulster last weekend. Benetton are always a banana skin for every team they play. So there are the pool of players there to compete. It's just the consistency thing with Italy. Hopefully they don't play any back rows at scrum half now this tournament, and we can see more of their identity coming through and some of that nice attacking rugby. But as far as a threat or competing for the tournament, no, I don't see it.
I played that game when they played the.
You didn't, did you?
I was the flight, and it made me look amazing, and I was rubbish. Bergamasco, yeah. I scored after 2 minutes because he didn't know what he was doing. Yeah. But like you mentioned Italy, and a lot of the time you talk about Italian teams, you don't really know the players. Now they're household names like Brex and Menoncello, Ioane, Lamaro in the back row, Capuozzo, who's playing for Toulouse. These are household names now. They're quality players. But like Zeb says, the depth of it, have they got it? If they get a couple of bangs, few injuries, you need a bit of luck. And you mentioned the game last year against France that they drew. They should have won it because there was the whole thing around the goal kick. Garbisi, the ball fell off the tee, and he had to rush it. That goes over, they win the game. So it is, they have the ability, and they've come and made huge strides since they were embarrassing at the World Cup. Or they have 90 points put on them by France and the All Blacks or whatever. So they've made huge strides, and there will be a banana skin for everyone. No more so than Scotland round 1. Come on, Italy.
Come on, Italia.
Do you not support Scotland? Do you?
No, I'm only joking.
One of your best mates.
Yes,
So
that's
Scotland
true.
for
I
Russell.
know, but yeah.
Say it, dark horses, because you haven't given one yet. You've just said Ireland. You've gone all in on Ireland, Zebes, but you've not mentioned one dark horse. I'm probing you. I'm giving you
Dark
some fuel.
horse. Yeah, Scotland will be the dark
Okay,
horse. Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, England, no. Yeah, I think.
No, stop there, because keep going. Go on,
I think,
Scotland.
yeah, Scotland could be the dark horse. Just
Why?
because they've never finished above third. They have stars like Finn, albeit two Pilato's out, but
Hit me with some more stars. come on.
Glasgow won the URC.
There we
They're-
go, now
you know,
we're
they
rolling.
have good players. They play a really nice brand of rugby.
Blair Kinghorn at Toulouse.
Blair Kinghorn's ripping it up in Toulouse.
Johnny Gray's back in. He's
Johnny
won
Gray.
a Champions Cup with Exeter and a Prem. They've got winners now in
I
there.
think
They have, yes. So it's not all talk now.
Yeah,
Do you know, now
their backline is star-studded.
Exactly,
Right?
yeah.
With Duhan van der Merwe, Darcy Graham,
They have class.
Blair
Yeah.
Kinghorn, Hugh Jones in the centres, Finn, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I think the forward pack is where they struggle a little bit. Like some decent players. Xander Fagerson's really good, as is his brother. Matt Fagerson. Dempsey's good, but then where's the depth in the second row? Missing Cummings is going to be big for them. Hooker, the front row.
Yeah, Pierce Gooman.
Yeah.
British and Irish line, like you mentioned, in Xander. Ewan Ashman's a good player. Rory Darge, I put him on the world class
very good player.
But where you
He's
put them,
not
where you
right,
put
yeah.
them in terms of levels of players
I get
from
that.
other countries.
Yeah,
I get that, but I think collectively Scotland now, and I say it every single year, and when they do it, everyone will be like, "How did you know that they were going to win it?"
For 15 years.
I say it every year. Yeah. So do I put Scotland as a dark horse? Because we've got to choose one. So you're going Scotland.
I go Scotland dark horse, yeah.
Yeah, I've got England. I just think,
Really, yeah.
Yeah, maybe
So you
because I'm
think
close
first
to
two
it.
rounds they're going to come out with
I
two?
think there's a desperation around England as a country, the RFU. I think the players, I think that the autumn shone a light on some of the issues that they have if they mix a squad, like Marcus Smith at 10. Like that's the big one. And, you spoke about it loads. When they took him off, they looked like a different team. But you think about what Marcus did to Ireland last year with the drop goal to win the game. Like, they've got world-class talent, albeit they've got a few injuries. But they've been in transition since probably Owen Farrell and the Vunipolas left, and Manu Tuolangi lacking a bit of power. But there's no Feo Boso, so
Be interesting to see how they close out games now. The last 20 minutes of the games, whether he's sticking with Smith. You know things that we don't. Well,
that's
that's
where
a huge
mentality
part
is,
of the
yeah.
game, though.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your substitutions are crucial. So yeah, it hasn't worked out for them. So
And that's, Steve Borthwick's inexperience as a head coach. So you hope he's learned from those errors. And, if we're in the fight against Ireland, if we're in the fight against France, you don't make changes for change's sake because you think it's the thing to do. A preconceived idea, and England basically go for a Grand Slam. Oh, you agree?
no.
because we're going to talk about the key factors to winning games. So maybe I start.
Discipline.
But just talk to us then, like, how do you win a Six Nations? Like, what are the key things? Just give us some headlines of how you win a Grand Slam. You won a Grand Slam?
Not a Grand Slam,
Oh,
no.
there you go.
I won a tournament, I won
Okay,
a Six
that's
Nations,
fine.
but not a Grand Slam. From my experience, defence is a huge part of it. Being able to shut out the star teams like the Frances and the Englands, like having that last 20 minutes under control and knowing everybody knowing what they're doing on the same page just to close out, do whatever you got to do to win the game. But I go back to defence. I think the defensive side of things, especially the last 20-30 minutes of a game, are usually crucial. Where it could be backfield coverage, could be front line or chip cover. There's so many things in the defensive things that might fall off in that last quarter of a game, but the top championship sides, and usually the best sides, have squared off.
And on that's all about experience of understanding how to win games. All that experience and understanding and mentality around that's where Ireland, I think, set themselves
Exactly.
apart
and
from the rest.
If you go through the average caps of all the nations, Ireland have nearly double.
Yeah.
They have like 41 is the average caps. So it's for the current Six Nations, it's great, because it's all about winning now. For the World Cup cycle, maybe it's not the best thing ever, but for the Six Nations right now, having that experience on the pitch, knowing how to close out games, going for your third championship, knowing what it takes to win, it will be crucial, and I think they'll just have enough.
Yeah, danger men. That's what teams need. The best teams are made up with players that can do something
Bit of
out of
X
nothing.
factor.
X
Yeah,
factor.
yeah,
But
yeah.
Scotland have got that now. Duan van der Merwe, Darcy Graham, Finn Russell, as we know. Sione Tuipulotu was a big loss, but Blair Kinghorn as well, carving up at Toulouse every time he touches the ball. So let's have a look across the teams at some of the danger men. So I've outlined Scotland's ones there, but when you look at France, there's one name that sticks out in Anton Dupont, but there's so many more in that team. It's actually ridiculous. It's crazy when you think about some of the players that they've got.
I think that their ability, France's ability, and we've seen it with the club teams, is unstructured play, turnover ball, how deadly the likes of Pinot, BLBRE are. I like Deportier in the centre as well, who I think is going to have a big Six Nations. Untermack, just Dupont, the vision they have to see broken field, to see defenders not organised, reacting to a turnover, and bang, they're gone.
And they're all on the same page.
Yeah.
So even any quick free kick taps, Dupont has the ball. The winger on the opposite side of the pitch will be holding his width. He'll be aligned. He knows what they all know what they're doing in that unstructured play. They train it. They practice it every single session. They have their 20 minutes of jeu de sort or unorganised play.
What does jeu de sort?
Oh.
Whatever this is jeu de sort.
Yeah.
But with France as well, you've got Movaka, the hooker, Pieto Movaka, Emmanuel Molfol. They've got so many players that get them on the front foot. So you're showing like the glitz and the glam of what France can do, but a lot of it's based on them making gain line constantly, power. That's what they've just got power. It's ridiculous, and people like look at it at the tries that they score, and Dupont and Intermac and all these players. But that's the thing when I look at France is the power game which they've got, and I actually you look at all the teams that are up against them. Ireland are probably the only ones from a different type of power.
Different type, more dynamic. France is more thud you, know, and bludgeon you until they get over the line. Yeah.
And then they offload.
And then they offload out the back of it. Yeah, they're very different. It's more a dense, that kind of weight and size.
Just heavy gain line.
Yeah, gain line every time. Although Ireland leg drive and dynamic through space is unbelievable. But when France get their whole game going, there's no team can stop it. Now, their issue is making that not a 10-minute spell or a 15-minute spell like we've been used to in the past. It's being consistent as much as possible throughout that 80, but no team can handle it. It's just too off the cuff. They're all too in sync, and they're unbelievably difficult to stop.
Yeah, that's the difference with Ireland, is that dynamism. How do you say it?
Dynamism.
Dynamism. Swap. Dynamism.
Yes.
No, dynamism.
He's just said yes.
You said dynamism.
How good they are off knives. Dynamism. No. Nailed it. But off Jameson, Gibson, Parker around the breakdown, and Caelan Doris. So we're talking about players that are going to have effects on their team. It'd be interesting, like, what are Ireland looking for from this tournament? Obviously, they want to win it. They want to win the Grand Slam. They've done it. I know the World Cup's still an Achilles heel for them. Sorry, Zebs. But what are they looking for from the tournament? Like Caelan Doris, like stepping up Josh van der Fleer. Are they looking to add different layers?
Different layers and different levels of depth, I think, in the squads. They need it because the Six Nations is the most important. But, you know, going forward, I think you have to marry, like, experience is great, but you need that youth pushing through and, you know, competing for places, you know, giving Caelan a nudge, getting Pete, like, who's been a great player, probably time, or Cian Healy, Conor Murray. They need that youth pushing them out and kicking them on, and evolving their game plan a little bit. I think it's gotten a bit, you know, predictable. I think teams now are finding out how to stop the structure and stop the shapes that they're playing. So how to evolve that and be a little bit more French, I suppose, or, you know, try the offloads and this and that. But yeah, evolve the game plan and get a bit more depth pushing through. You'd like to see more young stars. Sam Prendergast hopefully will get a few games under his belt and some other players around. But yeah, evolving the depth and the game plan a little bit more.
I think when you talk about that as well, when you've got the footwork in and around the contact, because they haven't got monsters. They've got a bit like McCarthy's a big lad, right? But the rest of them are power athletes that can get through contact. But their footwork, Caelan Doris's footwork before contact, like trying to find a weaker shoulder by, you know, a hit and spin or something like that, that gets them over the gain line. But I think they need to be more comfortable getting the ball to width as well. You know, the intricate little plays they have, they're always pretty close to the breakdown and up the middle, but they need that threat out wide. And ultimately, I think that's where we've seen from Prendergast what he can bring with his distribution, very similar to Johnny Sexton in his stature and how he plays, and that might be, you know, a massive question mark on him. Is he the player to step into the 10 jersey? Is it going to be Crowley? And we've probably got different opinions.
Yeah, slightly.
Crowley's your mate. And I think Crowley's a wonderful player, but I just feel that they'll probably back Prendergast to be that man. And it's the same thing with England, right? With Marcus Smith. You know, who do you back and who do you give the keys to have the confidence to go and run the team in the way you want to? And Ireland, we've got to remember as well, it's a British and Irish Lions year. So players won't want to be rotated.
No.
Players will go, I want to try and win a Grand Slam for Ireland or for England or, well, not for Scotland. But they're going to be judged on these games for Lions selection, which, you know, is the pinnacle for any British and Irish player.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's pick out a danger man from each team.
Give us a team.
Give us a team.
We'll go from Ireland. You can only pick one. Who's their man? Who's the star man?
I was going to say Jack, but you jump on my case then.
Say it. This is your star man.
Okay.
It's not what he thinks. Your star man.
You know what? I'm going to say Calvin Nash. I think I'm going to go with Calvin, and I think if he gets the jersey, I think it'll be very hard to take it off him. If he gets a good run of form early in the tournament, he could have the ability to kick on and potentially get on a plane to the Lions. I think he's that good. I think he has all the attributes to be that X-factor player for Ireland going forward. He has the wheels, he has the nous, he has the handling ability and that dog in him defensively to kick on and have a breakthrough season, but also be our star man.
I'm going to pick Dan Sheehan. I
good.
was thinking about it.
Solid.
I know, but it's a hooker. So
Yeah.
some people are like,
Scores a lot of tries.
Scores a lot of tries.
He does.
Influential around
Fantastic
the breakdown.
player. Unreal.
But I think the scrum, the line out for Ireland, where there's been a bit of not an Achilles heel, but a few cracks. And for the speed in which he's come back from injury, like, he's a world-class player. He's a freak. He really is. And so for that reason, He's my
Good
star man.
pick. I love watching him play. I love watching him play. Yeah, he's class.
I'm going stock standard, the captain, Caelan Doris. Big favourite of ours. It's a British and Irish Lions year. You know, he's favourite for the British and Irish Lions captaincy as well. He's not a big beast of a man, but the collisions and the carries that he makes are always impactful on his team, getting them over the gain line. Dominant. You know, he's got a bit of old school about him as well as, you know, the footwork and the razzmatazz. So I'm Caelan Doris. I'm all in. He's my star man for Ireland.
England. Andrew.
I'm going Marcus Smith. We started to see over the November series, he was given that licence, but then it was taken back off him in the last 20 minutes. So back him, make the team all about him and how he plays.
I'd agree with Goody, but I'd say Ollie Lawrence. I think he is top quality. I love watching him play. For the Premiership, his relationship with Finn Russell has been unreal, but I think he can kick that on. You know, Marcus is a similar style player to Finn, has that off-the-cuff nature, and Ollie could thrive under the gain line. He gives teams, you know, defensively, his work rate is through the roof, and he's thrown in out-the-back offloads like he is in the Champions Cup. So, yeah, I think he's a man on form, and he could be the star guy for England.
I think Maro Itoje. England for me, and mentored him, played with him. I just think England in years gone by, when they've been at the best, they've had a focal point with a captain. They've had a leader.
Talisman.
A talisman.
Yeah.
And Maro's kind of been waiting in the wings. There's been question marks over his leadership. Eddie Jones didn't want to have him as captain. But I think he is the only man now, guaranteed his position. You think about when Maro's been at his best, whether or not it be for the Lions or for England or for Sarries back in the day when they were winning everything, he'd be getting man of the match, right? So I think the way in which he works around the tackle and the collision, the breakdown, something always happens to the line-out. And one of his biggest problems, as we know, has been his discipline. But I think by giving him the captaincy, and I know, having been vice-captain...
Never got the full armband though, right?
But I think when you get that, and I was captain of Gloucester for 2 years, but it actually stems the discipline and giving away
responsibility, right?
It's the responsibility of doing that, and I think with someone like Maro, where his discipline is the one thing that has been brought into question, by giving him the captaincy, you're already thinking about the game differently, going in, leading by the front and by example and all of these things. But England, when they're good or when they've been great in years gone by, they've had a talisman, and I think it's his time. Like, this is his moment,
though, isn't it? Like, his game is kind of teetering on the edge, or you know, being on the line and making a nuisance of himself without the ball, essentially. Yeah. It's going to be hard for him to rein that in. Then it'll probably detract from his own game, you know. But yeah, it'll be an interesting dynamic to see how he handles the captaincy, and does his game stay the same, or
does the referee have his mind?
Yeah.
The captain, so I'm going to show a bit more
leniency. Good,
you know. But I think he's the key man for England.
Ta-da.